Stop, enough. Save your energy, ladies and gentlemen, yes. Welcome to the Monday Dumpsters, and welcome to this show for another week. Roy, what have you been up to in the last set of 7?
I've been run off my feet.
Have you, Roy?
Yes.
Illness?
But I didn't, well, no illness. No, I haven't caught the mystery virus that's going right through this country. And I use that term right through advisedly. No, I managed to get to Colonial Stadium this week, HG.
Impressed?
Very, very impressed. Marvellous facilities. The staff they bent over backwards for us.
Yes.
Bent over backwards for us. No, they were marvellous. And we were taken down and shown the grass that's just been laid down, the playing surface, and the soil. I had a good examination. In fact, I've got a bit of the soil here. This is the sort of soil that's being used. Now, it's a sandy loam. A sandy loam. So what you have, HG, is you have a bit of scoria underneath this to allow for water to run off. Yeah. And then they've got what's called a root mat. And the rooting mat lies there. And you put a bit more of the loamy sort of soil on there, and then you put the grass on top of that. And the idea is that the cooch and the rye will go down and wrap itself around this rooting mat and give it stability. Right. This is the plan.
Is there any is there any idea that it's actually working?
No, it's not working.
No.
It's not working for one principal reason, and that is that rye and cooch grass require photosynthesis to work. They require the sun. It gets no sun. So it's not going to work.
Yes, right.
It's not going to work. It's just going to die. The other thing is, HG, the soil is far too cold. It's freezing, that soil. It's almost permafrost. Permafrost. So what they need is some sort of subflooring heating. They need subflooring heating, take the roof right out, take the sides down, and then photosynthesis. Hey, presto, you're going to have grass working.
Yes. Look, this doesn't look like dirt to me. It looks like sand.
It is like sand. It is sand.
Right.
It is sand. It's a sandy loam.
Well, I don't see much evidence of loam in there. I don't want to get sidetracked early in the show.
No. Well, that's what they're using, and I took it exactly. This is what was given me. This bucket was given to me by the staff at Colonial.
Yes.
Are you calling them liars?
No.
Are they setting me up? I don't think so.
No, good.
This is it.
Right. And beautifully
marvellous facilities. In fact, the facilities are far more interesting than the football.
Yes. Beautiful demonstration there. And speaking of facilities, we have Colonial Stadium staff in for the second time into the dump tonight.
Wow.
It's tremendous. There they are on the front row. We've got some journalists from The Age in as well, and of course members of Body Jar. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the jar is in the house tonight. And we welcome all those to the Monday Dump. Now, Roy, a tremendous sporting event on the weekend, the Federation Cup. Australia v Austria.
Yes.
Australia right on top from the start. Let's go to a match which featured Alicia Molik.
This was in Adelaide.
In Adelaide at Memorial Drive.
Yes, beautiful course, beautiful shot there.
There it is. And winning, taking one of the valuable rubbers in the tie. And now Australia, having taken Austria apart, go on and take the Swiss on in July. Roy, I know this has got you a bit livid this week.
I'm hot under the collar about this, actually. I'm very hot under the collar.
Why?
I, like you, I'm a Federation Cup freak. And I thought, and I don't want to bag 7. You know, you don't poo in your own nest.
No.
But can I say...
Unless you have gastric.
Unless you have gastric, obviously. And there are mystery viruses going around everywhere. I know that. But having said that, HG, 7 is the home of tennis.
Yes.
It is the home of tennis. 7 sizzling summer of tennis. Couldn't extend to the Federation Cup. We had no pictures. No one could see this.
No.
I was tearing my hair out. I wanted to get news. What's happening in the Fed Cup? How's Alicia gone? And Nicole Pratt was playing.
Yes,
Nicole Pratt.
Yes, that's right.
I wanted to see Nicole tearing apart the Austrians.
Yes. Now, how do you rate the Fed Cup? Where have you got it in your,
you got your slams, your slams.
I'll go wider than that.
Scottsdale. Then you've got your Davis Cup, and then you've got your Fed Cup.
Okay, give me an idea where you're related to, say, to the Warrnambool Cup or the Wongoom, which has been running this week.
They're great.
They're great.
They're great.
I mean, they're brilliant, aren't they?
But I think you could see those on Sky.
Yes,
you had access to those.
Yes, well,
no access
this week.
And I think the people wanted to see the Fed Cup.
Just disappointing, isn't it? Do you think they can correct that by July?
I bloody well hope so. Well, when we take who are we taking on? The Swiss?
Swiss. Here. In Australia. We're not sure where.
Right.
I'd like to think in Wagga Wagga.
Yeah, right.
It'd be terrific there to have a Fed Cup match in Wagga Wagga. Now, this week, some news out of America that given the poor performance of certain American athletes in the Sydney Olympics, the athletics authorities in America are now going to train their athletes how to be gracious when winning gold in future world events. Let's have a look at the highlights of the end of the 4x100 metres men's relay. The American team won there with Maurice Green out front, and there is Maurice, very, very happy. And now we see them standing around looking like idiots, carrying along like pork chops, etc., and then going on. We can't do it justice on this show how bloody long they spent at doing this, Roy. But having said that, while I like that sort of gear, it says, I'm in show business, I've just won a bloody big race. What do you think is the appropriate way to celebrate a win in the, say, the athletics?
Look, I love differences, HG. I think countries, each country responds to victory in its own particular way. I enjoy the way the Americans respond. Because it aids and abets our loathing of them. It reinforces every cliche we know about them: loud, abrasive, ignorant, stupid, ... And I love that. It's a national characteristic. You know, and I love the way us Aussies respond to a victory, you know, with just a...
Next.
Yeah, you move on. And I really enjoy that in us as well. So I would leave the Americans as they are. In fact, I'd encourage them to be even bigger in their response. So that we're going to hate them a little bit more.
How could they get bigger?
Well, they could take all their gear off, they could nude up, they could wiggle bits, they could really get up our noses if they wanted to. And I'd love to see that. I love it.
Now, Roy, mercifully, one story we had last week was the painting is now ours, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not quite sure when it's going to be coming to Australia, but it will be a real destination event. People from anywhere in Australia will be rushing up to Canberra to see this when it's unveiled at the National Gallery. I want a front row seat for a couple of months to really get to grips with this one. And it's 7.4 million, an absolute steal for mine.
I know.
Now, having said that, Chunky Move, the local, as in the Victorian State Dance Company, the official state dance company, and they do tremendous work. We've got a little bit of them on screen now, hopefully. This is a recent work celebrating Chunky Moves. I think it was celebrating the Don Lane show, this one. It was a ballet just called Don.
To Greco-Roman, I thought.
Very much Don and Bert there, wriggling around in the Greco-Roman style. Now, they've got a new work where they're inviting celebrities to come along to 100% off. Now, this is a series of installations and performances in a shopping arcade where celebrities are asked to stand nude in a box that they can see out of. The audience coming along to this event can't see them or who it's going to be, but they're able to reach in through holes in these boxes and have a fiddle about with the various people in there, celebrities and superstars and people from just ordinary walks of life as well, and then try and match what they feel with a series of photographs above. It's very exciting work, isn't it, Roy? Do you think I've done it justice?
You have done it justice, HG, and I know Jeff Kennett and Joan Kerner have been approached. Incidentally, as have you and I. We've been approached to hop into boxes and have people fiddle with us while they look at photographs and try, as you say, to match the feel with the photograph. Beautiful idea. When we did this years ago, HG...
In Lithgow.
In Lithgow, it was funny. It was funny. There I was in a box, in the nude, of course, and people come up and they fiddle about a bit, and it's true because you'd have so much fun. I remember I had a really itchy bum. And I could see him coming, and in came the hand, and I bent around and it was just because you can see them, you can see the hand come in. You can do what you like with it. You know, you can rub against it.
Wow. And of course you could see out, and so you saw the town mayor.
You can see the reaction.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
And fellow footballing mates and all that sort of stuff. Look, what worries me is, and I don't mean to be unkind here, that this is a very arresting exhibit, and I do find myself getting aroused with people, you know, reaching out and
fiddling with you,
and fiddling with me. Yeah.
You're a weirdo, aren't you?
I know. Yes, that's right. And look, it does worry me that people may get the wrong idea. I mean, you know,
take advantage of it.
Take advantage of me and think, you know, hello, something's going on here that I didn't quite expect. I mean, it's all very well to turn around and give them the date, so to speak. But, you know, if you did get aroused, Roy, you know, you'd have to be able to step out you know, to hit it with a cold spoon before it came back in. Because you wouldn't want to give the wrong message to impressionable young or old people.
Look, HG, I think if they touch wood...
All bets are off. Yes. Yes.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, a bonus.
A bonus.
Yes. Yes.
You know, at least it narrows the field. You know it's not Joan Kerner.
No, that's right. That's right. And curiously enough, the challenge we set the nation concerns art tonight, Roy, in the dump poll.
The dump poll.
And maybe you could guide us through the dump poll tonight.
The dump poll is as follows, HG. Australian art is A, too obsessed with nudity, B, sick, C, a national disgrace,
yes,
or D, stimulating and refreshing.
And where can you vote on the dump poll?
Yes, to themondayDump.i7.com.au.
Get to it. Get to it, dumpsters.
Yes. You've got about, what, 40 minutes?
40 minutes to get your votes registered in the dump poll tonight. Yeah. And we'll follow the progress right after this.
Reg Bowser Dawson played 247 first-grade games for the Leeton Tigers between 1952 and 1959. As a front-row forward, Bowser had to keep the ruck tight and helped his team lift the premiership trophy 3 times. His front-row partner for 209 of those games was Russ Sheaver, a no-nonsense, uncompromising forward noted for his unconventional running style and savage defence. These two players have not seen each other since December 1968, and it's a great pleasure for the dump to reunite these two old warriors. So many memories, so many stories. Two great old members of the Front Rowers Union. Have a great night, men, and thanks for all you've done for the great game of rugby league.
One thing that worried me about that reunion, they looked as though they'd never met before in their lives.
Well, you don't know what happened.
No,
the last time they met. Yeah, you don't know. You know, players often in the same team they don't have to get on.
No.
They don't have to get on. But I'm glad for the correspondent writing in asking to bring those two players together and keep those requests rolling in, because we'll do our best to reunite as many old players as possible.
Yeah, it's tremendous service. I think we're the only people in the world doing that.
No, this is your life, does it, I think? Much more elaborate idea, though. I mean, yes. You can condense it into about 10 seconds, and that's much more interesting in my view.
Yes. Now, Roy, feminine wrestling hasn't had much talk in Australian press lately. It's a tremendous sport. I'm just wondering if you could take us through a couple of the principles of it.
Well, it fuses open wrestling to Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yes.
It has some rules of some and some rules of the other.
Yes.
It's, I think, a most engaging, and I think it's the sort of thing that could really take off here in Australia, and I look forward to it doing so.
Yes.
And I think we're looking at the 56-kilogram class.
That's right, 56-kilogram class of feminine wrestling. This is the World Championship bout in that particular weight division. Let's go to it now.
Yes, welcome to the King Zog Stadium here for Greco-Roman Feminine World Wrestling Championship. In the red, Ljubanova from Bulgaria, and in the blue from Spain, Montero. Roy, it's a lovely start.
It is. I'm very impressed with the stand at HG. The Spanish Greco-Roman, women's Greco-Roman, of course, going through the roof. Very, very popular. The stand is enormously high, and I think we'll find that Ljubanova is going to be a little bit outclassed here.
Roy, can I suggest, with the problems of women's boxing in Australia, that the Greco-Roman wrestling would be an adequate substitute for anybody wanting to get into the ring and have a go, have a shot at each other?
Could well be the answer, couldn't it, HG? Because look, it's an attractive sport. No matter how you look at it, it's attractive, even though it lacks what I call the penetrative threat of male doggy work. It still has other advantages, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It does. And to see these girls break now, I can't quite pick up the score, but already Montero is miles in front. I think 6-1.
6-1, yes. Oh, look at that move there from the Spaniard. That was terrific. Ooh, almost had a head ripped off.
Now she's going to, the Bulgarian, Ljubanova, is going to have to really work hard here to get back into it. Of course, Bulgaria, well known for its Greco, probably have more pots with Greco-Roman rules on them than any other country.
Oh, this headlock. Look at this headlock, actually. That's a look at that. Look at that head. That's been around for thousands thousands of years, the headlock.
She's trying to push the head through to China, and now, unfortunately, the Bulgarian Lubanova has lost advantage as Montero is right on top in this bout, and she's trying to wind her up like a clock.
Wind her up, spin her over, expose that front area. Look at the craft there. Look at the craft. And the other thing is, actually, how much everyone's enjoying it. Look at our representative from Fila up here on the top left here, having a glass of water. Tremendously interested in the event.
Yeah, he is. And don't tell me that this referee isn't getting involved.
Oh, he's got an eyeful there, isn't he?
He certainly is. He's declared it over. He's declared it over. And I've got the scores. I'll be impressed with your thoughts, Roy. The Spanish competitor winning 11-2. Is that how
11-2 is how I'm calling it, HG, yes.
Tremendous bout.
Tremendous bout.
And so there it is, the Feminine Wrestling World Championship from King Zog Stadium here in Bulgaria. Tremendous night, tremendous match.
Roy, in the call there, we raised that interesting idea of, you know, the feminine wrestling taking over from boxing for something that people, you know, who want to get into martial arts and, you know, associated sports could think about taking up. I mean, I think the boxing question, unfortunately, does, you know, swerve around the problem of martial arts, and especially, say, something like Taekwondo, where not only do you get punched in the head, you get kicked in the head, which must worry the Minister of Health, Michael Woolridge, no end.
It does. And I noticed too, HG, that all the premiers of Australia have decided that they're not going to outlaw boxing, so that's great boxing news, even though Dr. Michael Woolridge is calling for a ban. But I love violence. I think there's something really... It's a poultice, isn't it? It's a valve, a safety valve for the community. I mean, and I think there's a very simple solution. That is remove the gloves. Remove the gloves. Right. Because you're less inclined to punch someone in the head if you're not wearing gloves. The gloves were invented to protect the fists, to stop the metacarpals being destroyed. So I think if you remove the gloves, you'd get the good old-fashioned body punching that we used to love all those years ago. So that would be my solution. Because boxing, people are going to box. People love fighting. People of all persuasions. You know, there are just some nights, some days when you think, oh, bloody hell, I've just got to have a fight. That's right. Otherwise, I'm going to go mad.
Oh, no.
And I don't think I'm alone.
No.
I think I'm normal.
Well, it would
and I'd hate to deny women that opportunity.
Yes.
Of feeling normal.
Now, the world of wrestling, though, is one that, you know, I mean, people think it's a soft option, but it's not really, is it?
No, it's not. Oh, no, I've seen more people killed in wrestling than...
boxing. Or car accidents.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll pursue this idea on the dump in a few moments' time.
This is the news from rural and regional Australia. I'm Steve Bracks, the Premier of Victoria. After years of research, an internationally renowned geologist says he has discovered why Western Australia is so flat. Dr. Philip Playford believes that about 320 million years ago, West Australia would have looked something like this. A winter wasteland covered by huge sheets of glacial ice several kilometres thick.
Some 40 million years, the state was covered by this ice sheet, and it's one of the major events in the geological evolution of Western Australia.
The welfare of caged hens is an issue that has farmers and animal activists at loggerheads for years. One Australian egg producer appears to have come up with a compromise. The Langfield Pastoral Company project near Young claims to have found a way to mass-produce eggs at a cost-effective manner while addressing animal welfare issues.
They are comfortable, they are happy, they are stress-free.
35,000 hens are currently housed here in what is claimed to be the most technologically advanced caged egg facility in Australia. The hens have 24-hour access to food and water, with 16 hours of daylight each day. It's no wonder some experts are excited.
This is the most exciting facility I've seen within the industry. I don't believe that there's been anything to match this in the egg industry around Australia.
Koala spotters believe a colony in southwestern New South Wales is experiencing a boom in numbers despite dwindling figures elsewhere. 96 people turned out for the annual koala count in Narrandera. By the end of the day, they spotted 44 koalas. In 1998, 51 were counted, and in 1999, a smaller group of spotters counted only 40. After last year's event was a washout, this year's count of 44 koalas gave locals hope that the colony, established 28 years ago, continues to grow.
The koalas have reproduced, and they're to be found now on both sides of the river, upstream and downstream, hundreds of them.
An endangered green turtle called Clary could hold the key to the survival of his species. The injured animal was rescued by wildlife carers on the New South Wales north coast. He's now swimming free again with hopes that he'll go forth and populate. After being washed up at Luca Beach after the recent floods, Clary was found close to death, weighing a mere 5 kilograms. 6 weeks of care and plenty of squid saw Clary double his weight and ready to leave his foster family.
I don't really want to let him go. Can we keep him there?
The turtle was whisked away to Julian Rocks, where after another goodbye, off he swam into the deep blue.
It took off like a train.
And finally, the Eastern Indicator wool price of 825 cents per kilo is slightly down on last week's close. But the April delivery price for Australian standard wheat is $165.50 per tonne, which is up $3 from last week. And that's the news from rural and regional Australia. I'm Steve Bracks, Premier of Victoria.
Yes, thanks very much for doing that, Steve. Now, you proclaim that you're a bit of a swimmer. How far can you swim?
Yeah, well, I used to swim when I was a kid, actually, and I swam for Ballarat, a regional town in Victoria.
Yes.
And I'm a long-distance swimmer, so I go in the Lawn Pier to Pub once a year. I missed the first time in 11 years last year, but I will be going in again in the future. So I'm usually about the 1K plus. I'm not very good on short distances, but large.
Have you ever tried yourself just to see how bloody far you can go? You know, just set off. I understand you can swim Bass Strait these days. Not you personally, but people can. Would you like to have a go at Bass Strait?
No, I think that'd be beyond me, but
yes.
The best I've done is Port Melbourne to Williamstown, the big bay swim, which is about 3 Ks, and that was a few years ago, but that's the biggest I've done.
Right, right.
Just staying on sport for a moment, Steve. We mentioned just earlier that Dr. Wooldridge is asking for clamping down on boxing, maybe, you know, get rid of it altogether. And the premiers have decided to look into it, but really not to ban it at this stage. Well, what's your feeling? I mean, do you enjoy a good fight?
Well, it's probably not my cup of tea, to tell you the truth, Roy, but we have some of the strictest rules already here in Victoria. We lead the way in regulation. We've brought in new standards. And you know, if we ban this altogether, you know what's going to happen.
It'll go underground.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. It will go underground.
Yes.
And we'll have no...
Why can't we legalise cockfighting then, or bear baiting? Because... You know, I went to a great cockfight the other night, so did HG, and bear baiting, and if we legalise those, it's going to get them back up, you know.
You picked the logic flaw very well, actually.
I did. So it's got no logic in it, that argument at all.
No.
These just people are a little bit silly who are out there trying to kill each other. Don't we have a responsibility to say, well, no?
But look, I mean, all sport is risky, we know that, and it's a matter of preparing for that risk, making sure that you're fit and prepared and have the right rules and regulations, and I think we can regulate it better. And if Dr. Wooldridge wants to sit down with the health ministers in each state and work on new regulations, we'll have a look at that.
Now, it's a big parade on Sunday, the Centenary of Federation Parade. You know, is it an all-comers event? I mean, if I had a couple of Aberdeen Angus, could I line up in the parade and just shoo them down the Swanston Street? Is it a genuine, you know, people's parade?
Well, I think you have to register before, but it's going to be enormous next week. Yes. I mean, we had the New Year's Day celebrations in Sydney, and I was there with the other premiers and territory leaders, the Prime Minister and others. That was big, but this will be much, much bigger. This is the recreation of the first sitting of the Federal Parliament. It's 100 years of democracy. We're the only country that really has formed a democratic nation without acrimony, without war, without violence, without bloodshed. And it's not a bad thing to celebrate, actually.
No, it's a wonderful thing to celebrate. Now, the Williamstown area, what are they putting in? You know, a display of lamingtons, you know, sort of a barbecue?
Good question. I'm not sure, but... Yeah, Williamstown's one of the oldest seats in Victoria, so they'll have some representation there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, it sounds tremendous. I mean, I wish we could stay for it, because it is just going to be a bumper week. It's just going to be excitement.
Well, I think you would add something in the commentary and the coverage of it.
Yes.
And, you know, the way you questioned me before on boxing, I think you'd cut right to the chase on some of that.
Well, speaking of cutting to the chase, HG and myself, we love poker machines. Now, I'm wondering, I've got this plan of getting them into schools. Now, could we... I think if kids start to understand what the odds are like at an early age, they may not be so tempted at a later stage. So if we could have them there, and the schools could make money out of it, you know, obviously, and you just have them maybe outside each classroom or at the tuck shop or something like that. Any thoughts on this plan?
Yeah, I don't think it's a winner, actually. And there's a saying which is right. If you bet, you'll probably lose.
That's exactly right.
That's true.
Yes.
But why not learn that at an early age, though, Steve? Why not learn that by grade 5?
Well, we are actually getting a message out on this, that if you bet, you probably will lose, and that's the message we want to get out to young people. But we're worried that if they do get involved, they will be tempted to take it on.
Not if they lose their lunch money day in, day out, day out. Sorry, Mum, sorry, Dad, I've lost it again. They'd learn. After 2 or 3 terms, Steve, they'd learn.
Yeah. I guess once a term they have a big lunch.
Yes, that's right, a bloody monster.
Now, just going back to the centenary of Federation celebrations, do you think the message is getting through? Do you walk around and sense an air of excitement like Roy and I do, that people are over the moon about the fact that it's 100 years and the excitement is unparalleled? I can't recall a time when Australia's been more exciting. I mean, that bloke Big Kev, I don't know whether you know him. He's bloody excited. He's excited about He's excited about laundry products, but I can see the nation being as excited as Big Kev is about laundry products, about Federation and the celebration of the centenary of Federation. You said,
well, HG, I don't think it has really captured the person on the street, and people don't come up to me and talk about it, but I reckon it's one of those things, if we didn't celebrate it, if we didn't recognise that it's 100 years since we had a nation, I mean, you think about this. Each state, each colony, actually gave up its power and ceded that to the Commonwealth in a new nation, and that was formed.
Isn't it? Mind-boggling.
How can you explain that? I mean, you're right. It's such a great story. 6 separate colonies.
Yes.
Then one nation.
Then one nation.
6 separate colonies.
Yeah. I've got the miracle. Right.
Well, I reckon you both have a responsibility to promote this as well, and I'm sure as you move your show around the other states that you will ask the same question, and eventually there'll be some popular following for this.
Yes. Right. And there'll be an answer. Yes.
There'll be
how they did it.
Yeah. Look, Steve, thanks very much for coming on this evening and reading the news so well and answering the questions, and no one goes away empty-handed. And we'd like to think, I see the Centenary of Federation parade being led off by the premiers, and you out front wearing this magnificent belt buckle on the pants.
I think it's fantastic. I'd be very privileged to actually do that, okay?
Yes, good on you. And if you could just hold it up and maybe look down the camera here for a happy snap, can you please thank Premier Steve Bracks?
Nathan, you got a sign on here? Nathan Bolton. You got a nickname? You haven't got one. We might give you one later on, all right? Everybody's got to have a nickname on our side. A good one, right? Might call you Flash. You can run. Mate, I don't care. Over here you are. You're part of the team. Are you want to be Burke's backyard? Come on, let's go. The fundamentals of being a good rugby league player, or good footballer generally, are the 4 S's, with those being skills, strength, speed, and senses.
No, Joshy, do it again and give him the right pass. Exactly. No need to throw it.
I'm really trying to enforce or coach them to unload when they do take that first up tackle. I'm a little bit disappointed when I watch the TV where I see big, beautiful men sort of take it up, hit hard, and then die to the ground.
Johnny, unload. Nobody likes a buffhead. Back and do it again.
Zip. Come on. Yes, good, that's better. Oh, you catch the ball, let's go. Scotty, we're not serving, man. Here, cool, well done, big fella. Look like a footy ball. Let's go, Sonny. Have an ethos, basically, of saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So treat them as you would have them treat you.
You haven't apologised to John for a start, so don't wear my patience, son. I'm serious. You either do what you're told or get the buggery.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Let's go, Johnny, play the ball. 2 hit-ups. Show, not yet, not yet. Wait for your players. Always wait, look to see where the players are. It's no good putting the kettle on if you haven't got any tea and covered, you understand? I do like him. He's best as the next person, but play the best you can, and generally he'll come up trumps. We're going to go out here now. The first thing, what we've got to do, we've got to enjoy ourselves. We have to enjoy it. That's what we're here for, because we love rugby league. All right? So, are we ready?
Yes!
That's what I want to hear.
Yes, coaching any kind of football can be incredibly complicated and a very technical art, isn't it, Roy?
It is.
You know, terms like, you know, don't put the kettle on without any tea in the cupboard. Things like that don't come easily, do they?
Well, you've got to explain things in a way that's going to get through.
Yes, true.
Get through to
I
them.
saw a lot of tea drinkers out there.
I did too.
Now,
Wayne Mackey is doing a great job there, and we thank him for his work.
Indeed. And look, another aspect of football at the moment, which is causing some comment, is the role of umpires and referees. And let's face it, the people in the middle officiating at games don't have it easy. And we have some footage coming up of a Super 12s match, rugby union, yesterday. I think it was the Reds v the Cats, in fact, in which a pair of scissors was found on the playing surface. As the umpire or the referee goes back there, he discovers one of the players comes up to him with a pair of scissors. I don't suppose that often happens, but that's the sort of pressure that, you know, referees are under. They're looking out all the time for things like scissors and bolt cutters.
Yes, here it is.
You know, there's the scissors there.
A player has taken a pair of scissors out, yes.
Yes, to threaten somebody, you know, maybe in a tackle. Now, the next referee in trouble is Stephen Hanley, who's in trouble here at a Demons, that's Melbourne Demons v Geelong Cats match. He appears to be coming down with heat exhaustion, Roy. The symptoms are?
Yeah, look, he's having trouble breathing, HG, isn't he? Looks as if he might be, you know, on the verge of having a heart attack. I
Yes,
mean,
which
he's
one is
absolutely
the umpire
exhausted. He's one on the left there. I mean, he's grasping at his chest. He's really buggered. Because these blokes have to run often further than the players do.
Yes.
Look at him. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He's trying to explain the symptoms. You know, there's something moving in my chest.
And here is another case here where we see a player run into the umpire. It's Todd Curley of the Bulldogs running into Kieran Nichols there. I don't know whether they've got another shot of that in replay, but I think
Yeah, you, Nichols.
Yeah, well, now, let's have a look at this again. We hope we've got this. Here we go. Here, he obviously alters course there to just take on the umpire with a friendly hip and shoulder there. There's nothing wrong with that. I thought a perfectly legal bump, except you meant to do it to other players, not the umpire.
The umpire.
Roy, this does raise the question of how are we going to get the next generation of officials? Where are they going to come from? If they see footage like this, firstly, the problem of heat exhaustion and finding the scissors, being bumped over by players, is anybody going to want to do it?
Yeah, I know it's hard, isn't it?
It is.
You know, I think umpires and referees are great role models. I mean,
Are they, Roy?
They're my heroes.
Uh-huh.
They're my heroes. I mean, they've got to have the...
You need to get out more, Roy.
I do. I get out and I appreciate their skills. I mean, they've got to be as fit as the players.
Yes.
They've got to be as committed to the game as the players.
Yes.
They've got to have the wisdom of Solomon, the patience of Job. They've got to know when to let the advantage rule go on. They've got to know when to, you know, be specific about certain rules and firm on certain rules. They've got to have the kudos of the players. They've got to earn respect. They've got to deal with the recognition, and they've got to deal mostly with the fact that everybody there hates their guts. They cop so much abuse, and it's just not fair. And I noticed with the AFL, you've got basically 7 there, but 4 principal umpires. With the rugby league, there's only 1 referee, and there is call now for 2 referees. Can I suggest with, say, rugby league, I think there are 26 players on the paddock, I think we need 26 referees. And with the AFL, maybe 36. 36.
Yes.
One who focuses on just one player all the time, and if he sees anything untoward, blow the whistle.
Yes.
And you'd have players towing the line. And would take a lot of pressure off just having 1, 2 or 3 blokes there.
Is it the sort of thing that you can, in your clinics, you get many kids putting up their hands when you ask who wants to be a referee or an umpire? Do many kids put up their hands?
Not these days.
No.
Years ago you would.
Yes.
You'd have kids queuing up to learn how to be a referee or an umpire. You know, how can I get involved, Roy?
Yeah.
How can I be a referee?
And what in a kid in a clinic stamps them as somebody who may be able to go on and become a senior referee or a senior umpire? What are you looking for, Roy?
I'm looking at someone who can hold a whistle, blow it, and move on. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Look, Roy, that...
And someone who'll back himself. Doesn't matter if he calls it wrong. Just says, get on with it. You know, I'm going to go.
That's how I see it.
That's how I'm calling it.
Sure, it might be wrong, but who cares? I'm in charge. I've got the whistle.
Yes. Because the rules only exist up here.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it doesn't matter how many things you put down here. Rule 1, 2, 3, 4. It's whatever's absorbed up here, osmotically. Because no two see it the same.
That's absolutely true.
There's some cheat.
Yeah.
Do they? They bloody do.
Yeah,
some you can pay off.
Someone...
Some are just rotten bloody mongrels. Some shouldn't be sitting anywhere near a whistle.
All right. No, they go
I've
power
gone right
crazy.
off them.
Have you? Yes. Look, speaking of going off things, the Monday Dump poll, Roy, where can they vote?
Yes. The internet poll, yes. Australian art. Too obsessed with nudity, sick, a national disgrace, stimulating, refreshing. mondaydump.i7.com.au.
Vote now. We'll be back with more Dump right after this. Yes, and now can you please welcome one of our Fed Cup winning team in Nicole Pratt. Yes. Now, firstly, congratulations, Nicole, on the big win. Umpires in the Fed Cup ties, you were playing, Australia was playing Austria. What nationality umpired the matches on the weekend?
We had one representative from New Zealand and one from, I think, somewhere in Asia.
Yes.
And the referee was from New Zealand also.
Right, so it's a neutral set of officials.
Yes.
Were you happy with their performance?
Overall, I was happy because we won.
Yes.
So, but there were a few bad calls here and there.
Right. And what would you put the bad calls down to? What, trying to keep the Austrians in it?
Actually, I can put it down to the fact that the lines were actually 2 inches larger than what they should have been. So the court surface was actually
2 inches
larger.
smaller. Oh, 2 inches larger.
Yeah.
All right.
So they had to repaint them.
No, that doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't happen at all.
And I noticed the Australian team were very keen to play in Adelaide because they had a surface which they thought would advantage us. Did it turn out that way? I mean, to state the bleeding obvious, it turned out that way, but was it more of an advantage you thought, especially with the 2 inches wider lines?
I thought, like, if by playing on grass, we had a great opportunity to win. And did I think it was going to be 5-zip? No, I didn't. So it was definitely an advantage for us to play on the grass.
Nicole, on the World Women's Tour, the Williams sisters really get up my nose. How do you get on with them?
I say hello in the locker rooms.
Yes.
They're actually, Serena's quite pleasant.
Yes.
Nice girl.
And Venus?
Venus is a little flighty.
Now, what do you mean by that?
She sort of is in a world of her own.
What, on drugs?
No, I wouldn't say on drugs, but I'd say that she sort of walks around as if she's sort of the only person there.
Doesn't see anyone else?
No, it's like you're invisible when she walks past sometimes.
And how do you get on with the Queen of Hort, Mary Pierce? Very difficult person.
Yeah. She doesn't like me, actually.
Oh, right, there you go.
She doesn't like me at all.
What does that stem from, Nicole?
Oh, I tend to be a little feisty on the court when I play, and she doesn't appreciate that at all. She expects me to, you know, acknowledge her and respect her, but I'm out there to win.
Right. How do you get on with with little Yelena Dockett?
She's not so little anymore. She's about almost a foot taller than me, but no, we're good friends. We spend a lot of time together out on the tour, and she's been in the last 3 Federation Cup ties with me as a teammate, and no, I get along well with her.
Now, you're hoping to persuade her to come back to play for Australia, especially as the Federation Cup heats up and you get closer to the finals. You know, that's based on your previous experience of playing with her?
Yeah, I think she plays her best when she plays Federation Cup for Australia.
Right.
And she acknowledged to me that, you know, there was a possibility that she might play later on in the year.
Right. And of course, she's not the only piece of the package. It's the mad dad who we all worry about. You know, what are the dealings with a mad dad like?
I call him Papa Dokic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Does that help?
It breaks the ice.
Yes.
Yeah, it breaks the ice when you see him, and yeah.
What happens if you offered to lower the price of fish and chips at every venue that you played at?
Well, we're hoping the tie is, if we make the semi-finals, is going to be in America at the end of the year, and so they've set up base over there now, and I think it'll be a comfortable environment for all of them.
Yes. He likes a bit of a drink, doesn't he? And so does Venus and Serena Williams' dad, doesn't he? It seems. Is that the case?
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen...
there's quite a few, you know, I guess you'd say mad dads.
Mad dads, yeah, don't be shy.
Out on the circuit.
Yes, mad dads.
Yeah.
And they've got too much spare time, have they? And they hit the bottle a bit. Is that it?
Yeah,
And
it
then they make
seems
a
that way.
nuisance of themselves around... I mean, do they come into the dressing rooms at all? Are they allowed in?
No, they're not allowed in. No.
Right, what about mad mums?
There's a few of those too.
Yeah? And what are the mums like in the dressing room? I notice Martina Hingis' mum, she's got a reputation for staring down the opponent and that sort of thing. Is that true?
Yeah, we put in a rule this year that
Yes.
doesn't allow female coaches into the locker rooms. It's players only.
Right.
So now we don't have that situation anymore.
But that used to be intimidating in the past?
It could be. It's a little uncomfortable having, you know, mums in the training room. Just
Are
sometimes
mums worse than dads, I suppose, is the question we're getting round to addressing.
Well, I think it seems the dads are worse than the mums at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. And you employ a coach sort of periodically, is that right?
Yes.
Depending on, you know, how you're going on the tour and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like working with? Have you ever worked with Cashy? We believe Cashy's a terrific coach.
Oh, yeah, Cashy.
No, I've never worked with Cashy.
Right.
No. We had Darren Cahill helping us out last week for the Federation Cup, who's coaching Leighton Hewitt at the moment.
Yeah.
And he was great.
Yeah, and what's his technique? I mean, does he stand at the net with a bucket of balls and that sort of thing? Or is he more just sit back looking and then give you a few notes later, like backhand, very ordinary?
No, he's hands-on. He gets out in the court and he, you know, drills, he hits the ball with us, serves to us, plays a few points with us.
Yes.
But yeah, he's the whole package.
Yeah.
Were you as ropeable as Roy was about the lack of TV coverage of the Fed Cup?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. We don't get much coverage at all. It's especially, you know, female tennis players in Australia compared to, you know, the male players in Australia.
Can I say to you that if there was equal pay, you get a lot more with the blokes, it would get a lot more coverage?
Possibly. I think if we start winning more, we'll get...
Well, this raises the question of whether women's tennis is the sleeping giant of Australian sport. You know, some time ago, I think Lipton Ice put up $1 million for the first Australian bloke to become #1, and then as Cashy, I think it might have been approached that...
Pat Rafter.
Pat Rafter approached that goal, they withdrew the offer. Is that the sort of thing that you'd like to see for women's tennis? Somebody put up, say, $1 million for the first woman to become the world #1?
Yeah, that was available to us too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Not just the men.
Well, what if we lent on Lipton Ice to come in, to plug in on this, to offer $1 million again for the first woman to get to #1, Australian woman? Do you think that would be the it needs women's tennis?
I don't know. Could.
Well, if it's not going to be money, what can we do? What can we do, Nicole?
Well, I think, you know, the whole Australian public can get behind women's tennis more, get it out there.
Yes.
Like you said, get the coverage.
Get the coverage. We can lean on Channel 7. We can do our bit.
Yeah.
Can the players do their bit?
Yes, they can.
Good.
They can.
Nicole, of course, no one goes away empty-handed, as you've already seen, and we'd like to present you with this magnificent souvenir of the few minutes you've spent with us here on the dump, and maybe to make a fitting, you know, addition to a belt that you might wear on court at some stage. Sure, a little heavy, but nonetheless, it would certainly stare down the opposition in the most attractive manner. If you like to hold it and look down the camera for the happy snap, can you please thank Nicole Pratt?
Too obsessed with nudity, 18%.
Yes.
B, sick, 12%. C, a national disgrace, 31%.
Wow.
And D, stimulating and refreshing, 39%.
Wow.
So isn't that great?
Yes.
I mean, it's not as though people voting on this won't get direct action from us feeding these results into the galleries around Australia.
The relevant authorities.
The relevant authorities, absolutely right, Roy. It's a fantastic service that we're able to do here. Now,
you've got an email?
I've got an email here from Melbourne. It says, I'm a keen viewer of your show, having seen every episode so far. There's obviously a name here, and a PS. I confess, I haven't seen every episode of the show. I missed the first 2. But the nub of this letter is, please mention my name on your show in a gleeful voice.
Gleeful?
So I'll try and do my best. Angela Sturdy.
Well done.
Was that gleeful enough for you, Angela?
Gleeful.
Yes.
Angela Sturdy. HG, I have one from Lester of Narandra in New South Wales. Dear HG and Roy, I'm very disappointed by the Federation's celebrations.
Oh, yes.
They seem to be focusing too much on old people from the past. What's in it for the kids?
Yeah.
Nothing. Can you help? Well, that is throwing down a gauntlet, so to speak.
It is.
Look, I think those kids can make beards, those funny Federation beards out of cotton wool, and they can play Sir Henry Parkes around them. that can be great fun.
Was he the shagger, Roy?
He was. Yeah. The father of Federation, yes, absolute lunatic. But look, we'll think about this, because I think we could try and plug into Federation with maybe some sort of dumpster club.
Yeah. Yeah.
A sort of Federation dumpster club.
That's looking towards the next celebration in another 100 years' time.
Yes, yes.
What a good idea
That's what we'll work on this week, Lester, and we'll get back to you with activities for club members to get involved in, just for the kids.
Yeah. Well, the kids are left out in Federation, aren't they?
Well, there's been nothing for the kids.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I was trying to
Nothing except watching floats.
Go by, yes.
With nothing on them.
Yeah. Well, it's a telling time, isn't it, Roy? Because the big events come up in Melbourne, the reenactment of... Is it going to be a reenactment?
A reenactment
of the first sitting of Parliament,
It's very difficult to do, too. Yeah. You've got to get people in, they've got to sit down. Someone comes in and says, ladies and gentlemen, we're now united under one flag as a nation.
Gee, people will be right.
And that's the reenactment. And then
a cup of tea and cucumber sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches outside.
A couple of beers and a barbecue.
Then you go home.
Off they go home. It's exciting, isn't it?
Well, that's Federation.
Yeah, true.
How did it happen?
Yeah, exciting. And with that as a theme for the coming week, we'll join you next Monday night at 10:30 for more of The Dump. And the
Dumpster Club.
And the Dumpster Club. And we hope you can be there for the unveiling of the Federation Dumpster Club.
For kids.
Holy hell, we've thought of it already, Roy.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. See you then. See you next Monday night. Dumpsters. Bye now.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, hello everyone and welcome to the Monday Dump for another evening, for another Monday night. Roy, look, I'm excited. I've been incredibly excited all weekend. It's been a marvellous weekend. If I could be so bold to say right at the top of the show, it's been an absolute ball terror of a weekend. I gave a left nut to Australia this weekend.
Did you really?
Tremendous. I was so excited. I got so bloody excited. I just barely
just tore it off.
Just tore it off and threw it.
Threw it at the crowd.
That's right, and said, eat that. Now, Roy, I know you've been excited.
I wasn't quite that excited, but I was very excited.
Yes?
Very excited.
Yes.
Melbourne yesterday.
Yeah.
The Federation Parade. I mean, Australia Day, that was good. But let's have a look at Federation, the parade in Melbourne. Look at this.
Where does it
Common
start,
coach.
Wow.
That's how it was 100 years ago. Sure, it was slow. Sure, the mail didn't get through very often. Sure, people didn't get very far. But it was exciting with the Sir Henry Parkes lookalike out the front there, looking very, very sombre.
Yes,
Isn't that tremendous?
And here's a funeral.
Yes, a reenactment of what a funeral was like.
That's right. Now,
100 years ago, people were dying.
Were they right?
They were.
And how did they bury him in those days? They just got a lot of people to walk down the street to the cemetery and hurl him in. I think it might have been called Boot Hill in those days.
Boot Hill, yes.
Now, Roy.
Magic.
You and I declared last week there was nothing to get the kiddies involved in Federation. We stand corrected. From Peter Freeman comes an email concerning a kit you can get involving kids, anybody under the age of about 4 in Federation. You've got something here you want to show us, Roy. It's a bit of a colouring in book.
Federation fun. Now, HG, look, for example, Disco Federation style. That's for the kids to get
What
in.
were the great hits they would have played there?
Well, oh, I don't know.
Roll out the barrel.
Roll out the barrel, that sort of thing. You've got here, HG, Join the Dots, which I always enjoyed as a kiddie. And it's not Sir Henry Parkes you're doing here, but Pat Farmer, who's running all around Australia, apparently, again, and there's his route. For Federation. So this is really going to get the kids in.
It really will.
And you get your funny Federation pen.
Look what I've got here. I've got something here. You've got a sort of pen here. I don't know whether we can demonstrate this. Might have to go here. Yeah. And you take this out, and if I can do this right...
Good luck.
Hey! You blow bubbles. Look at that. Well, that is incredible, Roy.
It doesn't get better than that, does it?
No. I wish we added the celebration of Federation every year.
Yeah.
You know, if you get this sort of top quality gear. That is really
fantastic. Because there's a little head of Sir Henry Parkes in every bubble.
Is that right?
Apparently.
Now, Roy...
and the tie, of course.
Oh, the tie. I wonder if we can get a close-up of the tie. I'm not quite sure where we go. Look, that weird logo.
Yeah, I know. It says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Not much happened.
That's right. Not much happened then, not much happening now. Now, Roy, accept the celebration. Obviously, highlights of this weekend. Yeah. We have to deal with last night for, obviously, rugby league supporters. There was a magnificent... And can I just say this, that if Melbourne was, you know, off its trolley yesterday morning, last night, Queensland went absolutely berserk when the Maroons brought it home.
They did, didn't they?
Yes, we've got some pictures here of happy Maroon rugby league players. Let's go to them now. Here's a try. I think Walker going under the black dot there. He gets excited. The bench gets excited. Big girl already gets involved and goes in the back door there. Leaps over the top. There's the finger up there like that. And here we see, I think, a lone man in a moment as these celebrations continue here. As we go now, chopping close. Polygig there, and obviously John Doyle there. You got a try, I think, himself in the match.
He did.
And then we come to this magnificent picture of only one person in Lang Park not out there celebrating. I know it's more Maroons. Here he is. A bloke wondering why the hell he bothers. And then it goes back to more delirious scenes there of happy, happy Queenslanders. And so then, of course, we had Melbourne satisfied with the parade, Brisbane satisfied along the eastern coast. It leaves Sydney, but Sydney is not forgotten either because, Roy, Fashion Week is coming. The greatest fashion week in the world. Sure, you can have your London, Paris, New York. I don't know where you care where you go. You can go to Bolivia if you want to. Hello, Bolivia. You can go anywhere you bloody well like, but you won't find a better fashion week than the one here in Australia. The dollar, it makes our gear virtually free. People are swanning into Australia, picking up bus loads, whole trolley loads, and taking it back home and flogging it off for a fortune. Roy, you've been down at Fashion Week today. Let's have a look at your report now. What have you got for us?
Oh, it's been so exciting. Look at this look here. I mean, it looks plain, it looks simple, but it's not. It's all said with pearls. You just look at the pearls. And look at this look, actually. It's coy. You know, it says, you know, if I've got some snot, I know where it's going to go. It's a beautiful, beautiful look. And this is I think this is a little bit unsightly. I don't know where to look.
Yes, no. I'm not sure what I'm looking at there, Roy.
It's something special for Federation.
Is that right? Usually, as I point out too often, fashion is about what happens after it comes off. But that person there had it all off before she got out there.
That's right. And isn't that a look, actually?
And here we come to, I think this is a bather manufacturer, a swimsuit manufacturer. And here...
Tiger Lily!
Yes, now this is Tug of the Taipan in town from the FNQ land. Isn't that tremendous?
Isn't that a look?
Is that what...
Can't that take off?
Will people be wearing that?
Of course people will be wearing that all over the world.
Yes.
You know, where do I sit? Show me the menu.
That's right.
I'm here. What can you give him a snake?
Yes, that's right. Well,
it's been a marvellous showcase, isn't it? I mean, you can have your, you know, Bastille Day, your, you know, 4th of July in America, but Federation and fashion and rugby league, you know, the world is saying, hey, Australia, what's going on down there?
Yes, it certainly is.
It's going through the roof.
Oh, it is. And when you combine, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, a snake in the trouser, so to speak, but when you combine that look with getting the snake out of the trouser and up round the shoulders, I mean, imagine walking into a restaurant tonight and saying, have you met my friend here, you know, Tugger? You know, imagine the statement that's making, Roy.
Oh, it's marvellous.
You're there, Sydney, Australia.
I know.
It can't get any better, can it?
It doesn't get any better at all, HG. And, you know, I'm impressed with our young designers.
Are you right?
They're taking on inspiration from everywhere. You know, I noticed a couple of the kiddies were taking on inspiration, say, from your Japanese woodcuts.
Is that right?
Others from your German woodcuts, you know, your Oscar Kokoschka sort of bleak gear, which looks very bleak, that sort of realism that he went on with.
Just black and grey.
Just black and grey with a spot of colour just to bring it alive, and maybe a snake around your neck, or a redback spider, or a funnel web in a trouser, something like that says it's Australia. I mean, I just think it's great, and I think I take my hat off to these kids. They're just doing a marvellous bloody job.
Oh, Lloyd. And tonight, the internet poll that you can obviously get involved with refers to Fashion Week.
Yes,
and Lloyd, take us through it.
OK, the poll is as follows, HG. Australian Fashion Week, A, makes us as proud as punch. B, is a magnet for international glamour. C, gets the blood hot in the trousers.